Bilbo's house up there.
Oh my God. Is this the moment for you?
Stop making it weird.
I'm Natalie Basha, journalist and world traveler. I'm visiting social media's most trending destinations around the world, but giving you a deeper look at the people and cultures behind them. This is #travel. New Zealand has over 10 million hashtags, making it one of the most trending destinations in the world. But despite that, many people know almost nothing about the country, except Lord of the Rings.
Before I got here, I texted all my friends and family, and I was like, when I say the word New Zealand, what comes to mind? Everybody responded with kind of the same thing. Lord of the Rings, Frodo. Somebody sent me a picture of Smeagol. So clearly that tells me a lot of people have an awareness of New Zealand as it pertains to Lord of the Rings, but really they have no idea what the culture of this country really is.
Now, as you might imagine, in a country of 5 million people, there's a lot more to it than that. The Maori, or indigenous people, are steeped in culture and tradition. And Kiwis in general are very environmentally conscious people. So we're going to explore Auckland in the North Island and Queenstown in the South Island, the two most popular cities. But because of the movies and social media travelers, people mostly come to New Zealand for Lord of the Rings. And for that reason, we're starting at ground zero. Hobbiton, one of the sets where Lord of the Rings was filmed, and which has since turned into a permanent tourist attraction.
To the cheesy point. To the sign above you. Yeah.
More than 600,000 tourists come here every year, and it's trending on social media in the hundreds of thousands. Oh, that's my producer Morgan. He's a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Can you imagine growing up on a farm like this?
It would be idyllic. It would be magical.
I've met plenty of people who have booked this before booking flights or looking at accommodation. This is the first thing that they plan to do, and then they build the rest around it.
Isabel is a tour guide at Hobbiton, and if anyone can speak to how huge this trending attraction is to tourism in New Zealand, it's her.
So how many people come here and say to you, Isabel, it has been my dream to see this?
Literally about 80% of the guests that I take on tour, I think it's been a bucket list item for them for years. If they're coming to Hobbiton, there's a huge portion of those guests that will then tick off every location that they can possibly see. There's some organized, like New Zealand-wide tours that people will book onto and spend literally 2 weeks just traveling the North and South Island to see all of those locations. When we walk into what we call Gandalf's Cutting, the start of the tour, I keep my ears open and I listen because you can hear everybody take a sharp intake of breath, and then you can kind of turn around and see a couple of the tears start. We have lots of hobbit holes in Hobbiton. There's 44 of them. Every single one of them is unique. So the set decorations in front of them will give you an indication of who lives inside. This particular one, very well-maintained garden, so this hobbit's a very, very happy gardener. Yeah. But sadly, it's an exterior set, so our hobbit holes are constructed to make you think that there's something behind them, but they go back about 2 or so meters.
So this is clearly the baker's house.
It sure is, yeah.
With the bread and the smoke coming out of that chimney.
Chimney's going, doing some baking. There's a little book and an apple on the chair over there.
Oh my gosh, they have thought of everything.
And as a tour guide here, Isabel gets asked some pretty weird questions.
It might sound like I'm joking, but I'm serious. When people come onto the set and come on tour, they ask me what happened to the hobbits, where the hobbits are now. They think that the stories were based off of real people. I try not to laugh at people when they say that, but...
No, that's when you bring your poker food.
I know.
But the hobbits are definitely not the indigenous people of New Zealand. That would be the Maori.
I'm not here for show. I mean business. Mm-hmm. You're either coming in peacefully or we're ringing the ambulance.
This is the real culture of New Zealand. The Maori call this country Aotearoa, which means land of the long white cloud. And in a town called Whangarei, towards the top of the North Island, Mervyn Harding and his family open their home to tourists who want to learn about Maori culture. Mervin's doing his family's traditional welcoming ceremony, which starts with a challenge, and he's testing us to make sure that we're coming in peace.
We call it a pōwhiri, or welcoming ceremony. And it is something that our ancestors did from way back in the beginning since they've been here. And it's something that we do today so we can keep our traditions and our culture alive.
This isn't a kitschy show in a high-end hotel. It's not some shiny performance done just for entertainment. The Māori take this tradition very seriously because centuries ago, people died doing this challenge. Not everyone did come in peace.
I think a lot of people come through New Zealand, a lot of tourists come through New Zealand and see the beautiful sights, but never actually know New Zealand.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
What's the thing that people...
They want to go to Hobbiton.
There's two. They want to go down to Lord of the Rings. I did perform earlier as in culture for tourism. And so when we started this tour, we said that's not what we want. We wanted them, like you said, to have that authentic connection. Our custom, it is only the male who actually pokes the tongue. What I'm trying to show at my young 27 years of age is that, what you laughing for? No, it's about the warrior, what he's trying to show is his agility. How he is, because he's out there for a reason, because he is supposed to be the #1 warrior of the pack.
Mm-hmm. And only the women express with their eyes.
It's pretty much.
And that's actually, we were saying, that's kind of a universal look also. It's like,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
that's the I am so serious right now.
Kia ora.
Part of the welcoming ceremony is exchanging a hongi with everyone present.
Kia ora.
So the hongi is a very spiritual connection for all of us. So it's something that we do as a way of greeting people. And so when we hongi, we come close together. As I say, it's not about giving the rest of the world a flat nose like mine, but it's about us coming together and sharing a one breath.
Yeah.
What we're doing by sharing one breath is becoming one.
Kia ora.
Let's pretend somebody has come to New Zealand and they have zero understanding or knowledge of what Māori is, and they ask you, what does it mean to be Māori? What's your answer to that?
Well, good question. So for me to be Māori, it's about having a connection to this land. Not I own this land, but I am connected to this land.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Sorry, I'm just about...
He's amazed because I don't normally.
She's agreeing with me. My Jenga said it's on tape. Can I have a copy of this?
Yeah.
So we couldn't film the entire ceremony because some parts of it are considered too sacred. Like the part where we shared a meal together, because to the Māori, food is incredibly important. So we'll get to the food, but first we have to make the drive back to Auckland.
What other cute animals are we gonna see?
Mainly a lot of sheep and a lot of cattle.
Burger wings.
Oh wow, look at that.
We're getting so kiwi right now.
You want burger? Yeah. Here. We got too many of them.
Peace out. Thank you for that. Put me on your YouTube. Subscribe. Like.
This is a hongi. It's an earth oven, or an underground fire pit, where Māori food is cooked.
This is the pizza of Italy. This is the oldest dish in New Zealand.
Rewi Spraggan is a well-known chef in New Zealand, celebrated for bringing Māori food back to the forefront of the Auckland dining scene. The Māori kitchen is on the main wharf, in the middle of the city. It's an unusual place for a hongi. For clarification, the word hongi can sometimes get confusing. Hongi, spelled with an O, is the greeting. It's what we just did with the Harding family. Hongi, with an A, is the methodology of cooking food in the ground. It's 6 a.m., and Rewi staff is getting the fire started. After 3 hours, these rocks will reach almost 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit. They slow cook a combination of meats and vegetables together, staples like pumpkin, squash, and sweet potato, and a kind of bread stuffing.
Hangi itself means The ha is like your breath, your essence of life, and the ngi refers to the internal spark in the land. So ha ngi together is like the breath of life given through Mother Earth.
Before Rewi opened the Maori kitchen, there was nowhere for tourists to experience Maori food and culture.
For me, changing that landscape by offering the oldest dish in New Zealand to them is important.
Well, also, you see that, but especially where you see it. We're in the middle of like downtown Auckland. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a pigeon.
There's a pigeon, yeah. Watch out, pigeon, you might be in the hangi. Part of my values is to honour hangi masters of the past, the present and the future. My grandfather, he taught my father, and my father taught my brothers and myself. I've never met my grandfather, but I cook with his rocks, and when I cook, he cooks with me.
Those are the stones
Some
that
of
we
them
saw
are, yeah.
in, those
Yeah.
are your grandfather's stones.
Yeah, and so they're 100 years old, but I know that he's looking after me when I cook. So for me, it's a spiritual thing, connection.
Funny, I could smell it even when the dirt was on top. And I couldn't imagine the intensity of how it would increase when the dirt was uncovered. You can smell not only the vegetables and the meat, but the earth. You can smell the dirt as well.
this is still hot. It's still.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. You didn't tell me it was that hot.
It's hot, yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so distracted by how flaky this is.
Apart.
It's just like, it's so tender.
Yeah.
It is just coming apart. I don't even need my knife.
You can choose what you want in life, but sometimes something chooses you. And for me, it's hangi.
So this is my second time in New Zealand. And the first time around, I was like blown away by how friendly the people are. They're still some of the nicest people I've ever met when I travel. Like everywhere you go, they're like, kia ora. Kia ora means hi. So now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of people come to Auckland and they use it like as a pass-through city. So they come and they spend time here, but what they do is they immediately like fly to Queenstown. And we're in Queenstown.
Queenstown. Nearly 2 million tags on social media. People rush to this tiny town on the South Island because of its insane natural beauty. And because it's the extreme sports and adrenaline capital of New Zealand. I mean, bungee jumping was invented here. But really though, people come to Queenstown because it's just so damn beautiful, it's silly.
This is not fitting. There's no way it's gonna close. Nice and slow.
Natalie, can you see the tree?
So it's going to be coming up around this little corner.
And just outside Queenstown is the Lake Wanaka tree. Now, it's a social media famous tree. It's the most photographed tree in New Zealand. And it's so famous that it even has its own hashtag. People make the journey out here just to get this one shot with this one tree. So naturally, we had to see it for ourselves.
So that's it, huh?
That's a tree.
It's a tree. It's funny because the experience in real life of this tree doesn't really hold up to the drama of the pictures.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah, it's a tree.
It's a tree. But New Zealand's such a stunning country, and I've been here before, so I know this, but it's such a stunning country that it's not all like this. It's not all experiences that you see on Instagram that look stunning, and then when you get there are like, meh. There are a lot of things here that maybe trend on Instagram, and then in real life, blow it out of the water.
Let's do one of those.
Okay.
Yeah? All right.
Okay, here we go. Houston, we have liftoff.
Something that's trending on social media, and is actually worth all the hype, is Fiordland National Park, which is accessed through Queenstown.
So there's some beautiful waterfalls in here.
Unbelievable.
So it's pretty hard to count all the waterfalls in here, but that's all ice and snow melting.
Oh my gosh, you're right, I can see that.
That is insane. So we can see glaciers there now out to the right. We have the Clark Glacier, named after my family. My name's Michael Clark.
Is it really? No, it's
Yeah,
not. Is it
it
really?
is really. We were on the first ship of European settlers to come to this country.
But behind the trending images of the glaciers is an environmental crisis. I specifically wanted to talk to a pilot about the melting glaciers because they have a unique bird's eye perspective that the rest of us don't.
You can see this was filled with a glacier once upon a time. All the rocks are kind of smoothed off, blowing from our right down to our left. You've got glacial moraine evidence down there, the piles of rock, but there is no glacier here anymore.
What you're seeing here is just snow, which melts during the summer. There used to be glaciers under it.
Now, Louisa, aka Choppy Patterson, the owner of this company, she's been coming up here since 1986. She brought her son up here with a glacier guide at some point, I think it was about 94. And there is a mark on the rocks way up high here where the ice used to sit. They were standing on the ice when they put it in. So, see the little tiny waterfall directly in front of us?
Yes, I see that.
It's actually a little bit hard to read. 1995 February. So she was standing on the ice when she put that mark at that date. So the ice was that high and it extended right out to the end of the lake. It's since then melted right down and eventually just completely disappeared. Now the glacier we're going to land on is Park Pass Glacier.
Just to be clear, we landed next to the glacier. It's too dangerous to land directly on it, and it's also not very eco-friendly.
None of us here are scientists, right? So we don't know exactly what's going on. All we know is what we can see. All you know is what you can see.
Yeah.
And what you see are these changes.
It is frustrating. I guess more so than that, it crosses the line when you bring people up here and they perhaps want to leave behind trash, or they say, can we smoke up here?
Okay.
And my answer to all of those things is always no.
Yeah.
I guess as Tourism New Zealand says, leave nothing but footprints. So the footprints that we've left on the snow here, they'll be gone tomorrow, but any trash that we leave up here, that harms the environment. So.
Right. Can I say something actually? Because something that I wasn't expecting was going to happen. It's like emotional. It's overwhelming because the beauty of it, the majesty of it gets you. You're like, holy shit, this is so beautiful. I can't believe I'm standing here. And then it hits you like, I shouldn't be standing here. There shouldn't be rock for me to stand on. There shouldn't be all this exposed rock face. This should all be glacier.
And it just so happens that 2 weeks after we filmed this, massive wildfires broke out in Australia. The ash and dust traveled across the ocean and settled on these glaciers, turning everything you see here brown. Some experts have said that because of the ash, the glaciers will melt up to 30% faster. One thing I've always admired about New Zealand is how seriously they take environmental conservation. In fact, there's something here called the Tiaki Promise, which asks all people and travelers to make this promise. While traveling in New Zealand, I will care for land, sea, and nature, treading lightly and leaving no trace. Travel safely, showing care and consideration for all, and respect culture and travel with an open heart and mind. Since we started this journey with Lord of the Rings, that's exactly where we're going to end it. This is South Lake Mavora, which is where one of the pivotal scenes of The Lord of the Rings was filmed.
So in layman's terms,
As simple as you
yeah,
can.
this is where the first movie ends, where the Fellowship breaks up. So at the end of the first movie, Frodo realizes that the ring is corrupting all the members of the Fellowship. But the only way to complete his mission and get the ring to Mordor is to ditch the Fellowship. So he gets in a boat on the river's edge, this river here, and he tries to get in it to go to the other side, and that's when Sam chases after him.
I remember that.
So it's very fitting that we're here at the end of Fellowship of the Ring. Our Fellowship is breaking in the same way that their Fellowship broke at this lake and this river.
Does this mean we're leaving?
It means we're leaving.
Okay.
Our Fellowship is breaking. We'll meet up in 8 months time or however long it took them.
I didn't realize we were in a real fellowship.
Yeah,
right
in our hero's journey structure, we'll have to meet back up later.
But we're not here for Morgan to live out his fantasies.
Okay, come on, hobbits. Hobbits in the front, elves in the back.
We're meeting up with a tour group who's been chasing Lord of the Rings locations, just like we've been chasing hashtags.
When did you do a battle?
Oh, one of them was yesterday on the Pelennor Fence.
Oh yeah, we were flying in yesterday.
Yeah.
And this group right now is how many people?
We're 28.
28 people, and you've all been traveling for how long?
2 weeks.
And has anyone done this more than once?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mara, how many times have you been on tour?
5. You've done this 5 times?
Yeah. But this is the 5th time, so not quite 5 times.
This is the Tangwar script of a poem about Aragorn that Tolkien wrote from The Lord of the Rings. And this particular line is, "Not all those who wander are lost."
So after all of this, I was curious if people who come to New Zealand for no other reason than Lord of the Rings walk away from it with a different perspective. Do they really learn what this country's about? This is Julie. She owns and operates Red Carpet Tours. It was the first Lord of the Rings tour group to set up in New Zealand. What do they feel about New Zealand as a country if we remove Lord of the Rings from it? Like, what's usually their impression of the country?
How clean it is, how safe it is, how aware we are of our environment, and how passionate we are about protecting our environment, our respect for our Indigenous people, and how important the Māori culture is to New Zealanders and New Zealand as a whole.
Yeah. So it's our last day filming in New Zealand, and it got me thinking, this is my second time in New Zealand, but this time around, I feel like I'm walking away with a completely different understanding of what New Zealand is, because we followed the hashtags, we chased the hashtags on the North Island and then again on the South Island, but then going deeper than that, I feel like this time I'm actually taking a piece of New Zealand with me. So if you come to New Zealand and you use the hashtags as a starting point, but you go deeper, I promise the same thing will happen to you.